here's something interesting. We have a situation here in this edit where there's kind of an abrupt cut here. I finish what I'm saying, okay? But then there's something in the video that I don't want to be there, okay? So one thing that you can do so that a cut doesn't feel so abrupt is to match certain things in that end of that cut into something similar in the next cut. Now, I do kind of a quick like head turn here, and that actually flows perfectly into action in the next shot with a similar type of movement or motion. So the person's eye is going to be looking right here at me as I'm turning. And in that next shot, there's a foot coming into frame that's also moving rather than turning, but it creates more of a seamless cut. Now, if I were to, for example, start this shot maybe here where there's not that intro motion into the clip. Let's see what that looks like. You see, it's almost like there was something weird hanging out right there that makes the next shot kind of, there's kind of a weird, a weird subtlety. But these things I want you to be able to really pick up on at this stage to start thinking in a way of how you're creating something that looks unique and feels great when someone watches it. So we have this without using a similar motion in the next frame, the next clip, to kind of mask a little bit of an issue we had there. And then we have that one that helps fix that problem, right? So the shot that you have is always having a communication or a dialogue with the next shot. Every frame is talking to the next frame, which is talking to the next frame. And you create a whole string in your edit that creates this wonderful conversation that builds a whole story. So anytime there's a little bit of a weird word in your frame that's kind of a mistake or something that sticks out, it's going to throw off the viewer. So these are cool little things that you can kind of pick up on to keep things smooth and feeling really good in your edits. It's stuff that you've felt, but you've never been able to put a word to why it is that you feel that way. So let's keep it moving here. Okay, so here's something I'm noticing here. Both of these shots have a really great pan, a nice smooth pan to show the scenery, but they're going in different directions. So there's two ways to get around that. You can either reverse the speed of one of your clips, or you can flip the orientation of the clip to change its direction. Let's do both of those and see which one we like the most. So I'm going to right click my second clip here. I'm going to go up to speed and duration, and I'm going to click reverse speed. This is going to make the beginning the end and the end the beginning. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, don't worry about the audio. The audio is going to play in reverse. Okay, so that works. Okay, that's one option. So I'm going to undo what we just did. And now I'm going to do the second option, which is to flip the orientation of that clip. So I just added the horizontal flip filter here that I typed in from the effects tab, the effects panel. And now let's play it through. Okay, I'm liking that a lot more. I'm thinking that fits better because the coloring here is kind of a tan and green, and then the coloring here is kind of a tan and green. Versus when we flipped, when we reversed the image, now it's kind of a dark black green because that's what's at the end of the clip, which doesn't really cut together in my eyes as cleanly as that does. Cool. So that feels like a nice concluding shot. We have our edit now at 49 seconds, which is perfect. Our aim was to create something under a minute. And now the next thing to do is to take a look at the entire edit from start to finish. Okay, and so now it is time for us to go back and actually watch our full rough edit for the first time. So by now you should have your selects pulled, your shot ordering made, your overall pacing, no blank black screens in your edit, and a decently cohesive video that's ready for you to watch with a neutral perspective as if you were a viewer seeing it for the first time. Okay, so go ahead now, pull up your edit, start at the beginning, and we're going to play it all the way through. And we're going to take mental notes here on what sticks out that is working and what sticks out that's a little bit more important on what isn't working. Anything that's distracting, that's a little bit, ooh, okay, no, I need to change that, or that's really not working, or this really isn't going to make it into the final edit. You want to sit there and really keep an eye. Some squeaky. You want to sit there and really keep a little mental note, keep track of that. So, in some stuff that's a little bit more complex, I personally will start a notes tab on my phone and on my laptop. So, I'll go in and let's say Mount Shasta, edit, and I'll start a bullet point list of, let's say, for example, 14 seconds, remove shot. And then, for example, at 30 seconds, Brighton. So you can kind of either go through, pause, and put the notes down or watch it all the way through. But that's just a little bit of a side pro tip there that depending on how complex your edit is at this beginning stage, we're not getting too complex yet. So, with that said, let's really keep track here mainly of the visual elements that need to be changed. We're going to do another pass together and work more on the audio fine tuning. But anything that comes to mind, feel free to take a mental note or jot it down in your notes with the timestamp. So, let's go. Now that is a waterfall. Okay, cool. So not too bad for a rough edit. I feel like it gets the point across, and hopefully for your edit as well, you're getting the general gist of what you want to share across to your audience. I think this does for the audience. You get a feel of what Mount Shasta is like, what it's like to get out and immerse yourself in nature, out in this location, experience the amazing like waterfalls that they have, all that good stuff. So there were a few things that really stuck out to me. The first main one, besides the audio, was this definitely needs some motion. This tripod shot at 25 seconds needs some motion. So I'm going to say add motion, 25 seconds. Definitely at 4 seconds, I want to replace the audio with something a little bit more cave like and a little bit more, I don't know, mystical versus people just talking in the background. That's good. That's good. And then as an overall note that doesn't really need a timestamp, but that I can tell is needed, is adding a crossfade of the audio between the different cuts. So I'm going to add a note in here. Add audio cross fades. Okay. So let's first go through here And you can see that at the end of the shot, there's a little bit of a pan to the left. Okay, so I want to match that movement by adding a pan here on this next shot. That'll kind of smooth things out a bit. So what I'm going to do is select this clip and I'm going to create a keyframe. Okay, I'm going to go to the effects controls panel of this clip by, you can double click it and then scroll over to the effects control panel, or do it however it is done in your editing software. And I'm going to click this little stopwatch icon, which is going to create a keyframe. Now, a keyframe is simply saying, at this point, at this moment, I want you to be here. And at this point in this moment, I want you to be here. Whether that's a scale change, a zoom in or a zoom out, a motion change, whatever it is, it's saying at this stopwatch moment, I want you here at this. And so it creates that change over time. So I'm going to create a keyframe at the beginning of this clip. And then I'm going to scroll to the end of the clip and I'm going to scooch the position over by dragging the position parameter points. So as you can see, now when I scrub through the video, there's that motion that's being added, okay? So let's see how that does for that edit. Okay, perfect. And it even kind of blends in to the next edit. So let's take a look at that without what we just did. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And another way to duplicate is to click the video file that you want, hold Alt, and drag it to wherever you want it to go, and let go of the click, let go of holding it. And that's going to create another duplicate of that same clip. And I'm going to right click it and I'm going to remove the attributes that we just added to the clip. So we have this version, very stagnant, and then we have the new version with that motion. So motion is huge when it comes to the flow of your videos. If there's no motion, there's no movement, there's not as much of a flow. If you're linking motion in between your cuts, you're adding a whole new level of fluidity to your entire edit. So now that we did that, I'm going to go ahead and check that off our list here. So next, let's go ahead and move into the audio refining of our edit. And then we'll take another pass through where we observe the entire edit as a whole and see if there's any more changes in the video or audio that needs to be done as a final refinement. And if we want to fine tune this even more, we can take these keyframes that we created and we can right click on these keyframes. Right now, they're set to linear. Linear means right angles, right? It's something that's okay. If we do Bezier, I think that's how you say it. I don't know. I think it's French, but we can actually smooth those curves. So rather than it goes. Hope you like that interpretation of it. But let's right click the keyframe, click Bezier. You can see how it instantly makes it more curved. See that? Okay. And then we're going to do that same thing on the second keyframe. Now, what this is going to allow me to do is to drag the little ball and line icon so I can really adjust the amount of curve that the keyframe itself is going to have. So that's really interesting and something to play around with, and a little bit of a pro tip just to get your audio design to a further level of really fine tuning something so it's not too much of a drop off, but it kind of goes. I don't know why I keep doing the, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. So let's take a listen. Perfect. Okay, so let's take a listen to what we got. Now that is a waterfall.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, perfect. So that looks pretty good. And it's sounding pretty dang good. Now, there are two things that really stuck out to me. There's two clips here that the audio from the environment is not working. Okay. It's this first cave clip where it's talking in the background and a lot of footsteps. And then this final clip when my group is, talking about, I don't know, what we're going to have for lunch or whatever we're doing here. So you would be surprised at how much of the television, movies, videos that you see actually don't have audio coming from that actual moment of what was being filmed. A lot of the time, the voices are replaced. A lot of the time, the environment or sound that the character is making in frame inside what's going on, the action is being replaced in post production. And a lot of the times, yeah, audio is taken out from the actual footage and replaced with post production sound design. So what comes out to mind here is I'm going to highlight these two clips so we know what we're working with here. And I'm going to make these brown so that they kind of stand out against the other ones. And it's something that we want to replace. We can take either the audio from the same clip and try to get a different part of that clip. Sometimes this happens. Let's say you're recording at I don't know, a church. No, let's say you're recording at the beach, okay, and you have your clip, and the section of that clip you decide to use for your visual happens to have not so good audio for that section. But at other portions of that same exact overall clip, there's really good sound of the waves crashing, the birds, or whatever it is that you're looking for that specific clip. Then you can grab that part and put it, even though it's not from that same exact moment in time, but you can still put it there and no one will know. It'll be your little editor's secret. That's option one. Option two is to completely replace the audio from that section completely. And there's a few different ways you can do that we'll walk through. But let's first start with option one to see if for either one of these two clips that we marked that needed to be updated, let's see if we can find a good section for any of those clips. So let's go to this first one here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a duplicate of what we already have here for this audio section of this clip. I'm going to hold Alt, click, drag it out. Now we have it over here. What this is going to allow me to do is to open it up, take out the edit that we made on it without messing with anything in our timeline. Next thing I'm going to do is click on our little keyframes here so that the crossfades are taken out. And this is going to allow for us to listen to the clip in its entirety. Either we'll leave or until we have to leave, whichever one comes first. Okay. It's sounding like there's really not any good moments in that clip that we can use. Let's look at our second clip where we want to replace the audio here. Let's do the same thing. I can also highlight it, do Command C to copy it, move the player head over here, and do Command V to paste it. And then drag out the ends of the clip and delete the keyframe so that we have the clip in its entirety.
It's cold. Okay. Whenever you guys are ready.
That's not going to work either. So, because that's not going to work either, let's go ahead and take a listen back to our edit as a whole and see if maybe there's some other um, clips we can pull from. For example, this one I know has really good sound. So I'm going to grab that and bring it over here. Okay. I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to delete the keyframes. And actually, we know we use this part. Okay. So what I'm going to do is see if maybe later in the clip, which we haven't used, we'll be able to use for an entirely different clip. That's pretty good. So I'm going to move that keyframe over here, delete the part that we've used previously, and I'm going to try and see what that sounds like instead of the current audio for our final shot. I'm going to select this. Actually, I'm going to mute this entire layer. So that's going to mute the audio that's currently there, and it's going to leave the new audio underneath that we just dropped in playing without the other audio. Okay. So I'm going to create a similar crossfade so that these kind of line up a little bit. And let's see how it fits. Not bad. That's not bad. That's a lot better than.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever you guys are ready.
Not bad. That's sounding pretty dang good.